Platonic Games has hinted for a while that a huge update would soon come to Yooka-Laylee, and finally, they've told us everything about this upcoming patch. First thing in this update that they've mentioned is that Platonic Games will not be at E3 this year, likely due to the fact that they do not have anything to show off right now other than this upcoming patch. We were also finally shown the progress on Yooka-Laylee's Nintendo Switch version. The Switch version is almost completed, and it will soon enter a Nintendo Switch testing phase. Once the testing phase is completed, Platonic Games will give us a release date shortly after. The Switch version will also receive the upcoming green and purple patch for all of the consoles on day 1. Next, Yooka-Laylee will be going through some pretty big changes in the upcoming green and purple patch. The first change that we'll mention is that players will be able to skip dialogue faster and bypass cutscenes. Lots of players have complained about not being able to skip through dialogue and cutscenes that they simply don't care about, and soon, they'll be able to do this. Speedrunners will rejoice as they don't have to go through the introduction during every single attempt trying to speedrun through the game as well. By holding the Y button on an Xbox controller or the triangle button on a PlayStation controller, the dialogue can be sped up. But if it's a cutscene, the same buttons can be held down to skip the cutscene. Some other players also complain about the gibberish voices being annoying, and if it annoys the player, they will finally be able to reduce the gibberish voices in this next update. Platonic Games will also introduce a new optional camera mode that allows players to take full control of the camera. This means that players can finally take complete control over the camera without the game forcing players to look in certain directions. Also, when the players walk through doors, the camera will now appear behind the player rather than in front of them. The pause menu itself has undergone some changes. First thing is that the pause menu will now have its own separate little tune to it now. Take a listen. Another thing is that in the pause menu, a new moves section is added to the pause menu so that if players forget how to use a certain ability, they can just go back into the pause menu and check it out. Also, when scrolling through the totals menu, scrolling through the menu is now much faster. In the options, there will be a speech volume option, and as well as a shorter gibberish voice sound effect option. One that YouTube creators like me have been waiting for is that the PC display settings have finally been added to the in-game pause menu. Before, it was only available on the title screen. However, it is now available on both the title screen and the in-game pause screen. Also, there are now more first-person aiming control adjustment options as well. Now let's go over the Cardos minecart sections and Rextra arcade sections. First off, every single or most arcade games got some kind of design tweak. While we're not sure what they are specifically, they likely will fix most of the problems that players have complained about, especially with Cardos karting and hurdle hijinks. But that's just speculation, but do expect some changes to the minigames. For the Cardos minigames, the controls are now much more improved, and there are now new visual effects. And the big one that some of us have been waiting for, the restart option in the pause menu during the arcade games and Cardos challenges. Sometimes when the player is struggling with a minigame or a minecart challenge, the player has to die to restart and go through a lot of extra dialogue in order to restart. This can be tedious and annoying, especially on a game that's difficult to beat. This restart option will definitely help the patience of the player when playing through these minigames. Now, we'll go over some other fixes that Platonic has mentioned. First off, signs have been added to Hivory Towers to direct players to new worlds. This will be good for players who think the hub world is messy and confusing. Objects that can be hit with the sonar shot will now have a more clear indication that they can be hit with the ability. The light in Glitterglaze Glacier and the red beam in Capital Casino now do not require the player to crouch while using the Camel Cloak ability in order for the laser beam to reflect. When transformed, players collecting butterflies will now provide health instead of energy from the power meter. The Hunter Tonic will now track the last 30 quills and casino tokens, in addition to tracking the health and power extenders. It will also whistle at the location of the closest rare collectible. In the past, the Hunter Tonic did not track the last 10 quills. However, the tonic is being buffed to change from 10 quills to 30 quills. There are also design tweaks in various areas, such as the Black Hole in 1 in Galleon Galaxy, Gloomy Gem Grotto in Glitterglaze Glacier, and etc. New icons have also been added for the keyboard and mouse controls. Rampo's bot fight has also been improved according to this update. There are also small general improvements. First off, transformation controls have been improved. Our guess is that one big change that is changing is the Glitterglaze Glacier snowplow truck transformation. This specific transformation was very often complained about among fans. Another thing that got changed were the floppy flight controls, which some fans didn't like at all. The first person controls were also changed. Like what we said earlier, in addition to this, players will also be able to change the first-person aiming controls more, and overall, more audio improvements. It's obvious that right now, Playtonic Games has clearly been listening closely to the fans, and they're soon to deliver what the fans have asked for. And that's it for this update. If you're interested in more on everything Yooka-Laylee, be sure to subscribe, as we're planning on more upcoming content soon. Anyways, catch you later guys, bye!